He was known as the Quiet One, the spiritual soul of the Beatles. While Lennon and McCartney soaked up the spotlight, George Harrison quietly forged his own identity within the band. But behind that calm demeanor simmered a deep-seated resentment, one that few ever saw coming. So, who was the true object of George's hidden fury? Was it a bandmate who stole the limelight? A manager who pulled the strings? Or someone even more unexpected? Today, we peel back the curtain on the most complicated and perhaps most surprising relationship in Beatles history, because behind the music and fame lies a grudge that could forever change the way we view the Fab Four. Buckle up as we uncover the truth about the man George Harrison despised most. Early life. George Harrison was born on February 25, 1943, at 12 Arnold Grove in Wavertree, Liverpool. He was the youngest of 4 children. His mother Louise was particularly supportive of George's passion for music. During her pregnancy, she frequently listened to Radio India broadcasts, drawn to the mystical sounds of sitars and tablas, hoping this exotic music would bring peace and calm to her unborn baby. Harrison biographer Joshua Green wrote, "Every Sunday she tuned in to mystical sounds evoked by sitars and tablas, hoping that the exotic music would bring peace and calm to the baby in the womb." At age 5, George enrolled at Dovedale Primary School. He later attended Liverpool Institute High School for Boys from 1954 to 1959. Despite the school offering a music course, George was disappointed by the absence of guitars. A pivotal moment came in early 1956 while riding his bicycle. He heard Elvis Presley's Heartbreak Hotel playing from a nearby house, sparking his fascination with rock and roll. Around age 14, his friend Raymond Hughes offered to sell him a guitar. His mother purchased it for £3 and 10 pence, about £110 in 2024. Inspired by Lonnie Donegan's skiffle music, Harrison formed his own group called the Rebels. It was on the bus to school that he encountered Paul McCartney. That was the beginning of a lifelong friendship and musical partnership. Early career. In March 1958, George Harrison auditioned for John Lennon and Paul McCartney's skiffle group, the Quarrymen. Initially, Lennon felt Harrison, just 15, was too young, but McCartney arranged a second audition on a Liverpool bus, where Harrison impressed Lennon by playing the lead guitar part for Raunchy. He became a full member. Despite his father's wishes, Harrison left school at 16 and took an apprenticeship as an electrician. By 1960, the Beatles secured gigs in Hamburg. However, their stint was cut short when Harrison, still underage, was deported for being unable to legally work in nightclubs. By December 1961, Brian Epstein had taken over as manager. Their first single, Love Me Do, reached number 17. The following year, Please Please Me launched them into the stratosphere as Beatlemania swept the globe. George Harrison earned the nickname The Quiet Beatle during the Beatles' arrival in the United States in early 1964, when he was unwell with strep throat. The nickname amused him and persisted throughout his career. Musically, Harrison's influence began to assert itself. With the Beatles. 1963, he had 3 lead vocal credits, including Don't Bother Me, his first solo writing credit. By Rubber Soul 1965, he led the band toward folk rock influences. His experimentation with Indian classical music emerged with the sitar on Norwegian Wood. Revolver 1966 showcased his growing prowess with Taxman, Love You Too, and I Want to Tell You. By 1967's Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, Harrison's spiritual pursuits were evident with Within You, Without You. He chose to depict Eastern gurus on the album cover. His journey with Indian music left a lasting impact on Western popular culture's acceptance of Eastern musical traditions. Tensions within the band. During the tumultuous recording of the Beatles' White Album in 1968, tensions peaked, leading to Ringo Starr briefly leaving. Harrison's contributions included While My Guitar Gently Weeps featuring Eric Clapton. By late 1968, Harrison found inspiration from Bob Dylan and the band's communal approach during a visit to Woodstock. This influenced his desire for creative freedom, which clashed with Lennon and McCartney's dominance. Tensions escalated during the Let It Be filming at Twickenham Studios in early 1969. On January 10th, disillusioned with the studio environment, Harisson quit the band. He returned 12 days later when the Beatles agreed to relocate their film project to Apple Studio. Despite improved relations, tension persisted during Abbey Road. Harrison's contributions included Here Comes the Sun and Something. Something became his first aside, on a double aside single with Come Together. Frank Sinatra later recorded it twice, calling it the greatest love song of the past 50 years. John Lennon considered it the best song on Abbey Road. The man he truly hated. While the public often focused on the Lennon-McCartney rivalry, a lesser-known but equally complex tension simmered between George Harrison and John Lennon. Despite their early bond, George's relationship with John grew strained over time. Harrison admired Lennon's wit and creative genius, but he also resented his dominating presence and dismissive attitude. The dynamics of power and creative control within the band often led to friction, particularly with Harrison, who sought more creative input. He was constantly overshadowed not just by McCartney, but by Lennon as well. Before 1969, Harrison struggled to gain equal recognition alongside Lennon and McCartney as a songwriter. His compositions were often relegated to secondary status. By the time of Abbey Road, tensions came to a head. Harrison asserted himself more forcefully, rejecting suggestions for changes to his songs. In a revealing conversation captured by writer Anthony Fawcett, Paul McCartney acknowledged a shift in songwriting prowess, telling Lennon, "I think that, until now, our songs have been better than George's. Now this year his songs are at least as good as ours." Harrison's response dismissed the comparison. "That's a myth, because most of the songs this year I wrote last year or the year before. Maybe now I just don't care whether you are going to like them or not, I just do 'em." But the true object of Harrison's deepest resentment was John Lennon. In his 1980 memoir, One, Me, Mine, Harrison barely mentioned Lennon at all, a telling silence that spoke volumes. While he mourned Lennon's tragic death in 1980, George never sugarcoated the emotional wounds left behind. Lennon, for his part, often belittled Harrison's spiritual journey and mocked his devotion to Indian music and mysticism. During the Beatles' final years, Lennon would dismiss Harrison's contributions in the studio. Harrison later admitted in interviews that John could be a difficult and self-centered person. Their final interactions were often cold and distant. The spiritual divide. The release of the restored Beatles documentary Let It Be on Disney Plus in 2024, followed by the 2025 release of the Get Back sessions on vinyl for its 55th anniversary, rekindled public interest in the band's internal dynamics. Fans watching the newly available footage noted Lennon's dismissive body language toward Harrison during the rooftop concert and the Twickenham rehearsals. Moreover, in November 2025, a previously unheard demo titled I Don't Care Anymore surfaced at a London auction, reportedly recorded by Harrison in 1970. In the raw track, Harrison sings, "You took my light. You called me a fool, but I was the one who kept you cool." Many Beatles historians interpreted the lyrics as a direct address to Lennon. Harrison's frustration was not just about song quotas but about respect. While McCartney's perfectionism annoyed him, it was Lennon's dismissiveness that cut deeper. Harrison had looked up to Lennon as a teenager. Lennon was the original Quarrymen leader, the sharp wit, the alpha. To be dismissed by that man, after years of loyalty, left a wound that never fully healed. The complicated bond with McCartney. To be clear, Harrison's relationship with Paul McCartney was also difficult. In a 1974 interview, Harrison expressed his preference for other musicians. "I would rather have Willie Weeks on bass than Paul McCartney. Paul is a fine bass player, but he's a bit overpowering at times." He added, "I would join a band with John Lennon any day, but I could not join a band with Paul McCartney." During recording sessions for McCartney's Maxwell's Silver Hammer in 1969, Harrison fumed Paul would always help along when you'd done his 10 songs. Then, when he got round to doing one of my songs, he would help. It was very selfish. Maxwell's silver hammer was so fruity. But here's the crucial distinction. Harrison and McCartney eventually reconciled. In 1994, they reunited as the Beatles to work on Lennon's unused demos. Even in Harrison's final days, McCartney visited him. Reflecting on that moment, McCartney recalled, "I sat with him for a few hours when he was in treatment. We joked about things. It was good. We held hands. It's funny, at the height of our friendship, you would never hold hands. But it was lovely." The day after Harrison's death, McCartney told reporters, "He was a lovely guy. He is just my baby brother." That warmth never extended to Lennon in the same way. Harrison and Lennon never had that final, tender reconciliation. Lennon was killed in 1980, before the two could fully mend their fences. Lennon's own confession. In a 1975 interview that resurfaced on YouTube in early 2026, Lennon admitted, "I wasn't always kind to George. I thought of him as the kid brother, and I treated him like one. That was my fault." The clip, taken from a radio interview Lennon gave shortly after the birth of his son Sean, shows a reflective, softer Lennon. He wrote something, and I thought, bloody hell, where did that come from? I should have told him that more. Olivia Harrison, George's widow, spoke about this dynamic in a rare 2025 interview marking what would have been George's 82nd birthday. She said, "George loved John, but love and resentment can live in the same heart. John could be cruel without meaning to be. George carried that. He carried it for years." The final word. When George Harrison passed away on November 29, 2001, at age 58, after a prolonged battle with cancer, the world mourned. His posthumous recognition has been vast induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a solo artist in 2004, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 2009, Martin Scorsese's documentary Living in the Material World in 2011, and a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award in 2015. Most recently, on May 24, 2024, a blue plaque was unveiled at Harrison's childhood home at 12 Arnold Grove in Wavertree. And in February 2026, a tribute concert is being planned for Liverpool's Cavern Club to mark the 25th anniversary of Harrison's death, featuring Donnie Harrison and surviving members of the Traveling Wilburys. Yet, despite all the honors, one question lingers: who did George Harrison truly hate more than anyone? The answer is not Paul McCartney. It never was. Despite their creative clashes, McCartney and Harrison shared a deep, familial bond that endured until the very end. McCartney was the baby brother who grew into a peer. The true object of George's hidden fury was John Lennon, the man who first welcomed him into the band and then dismissed him. The man whose wit could lift you up or cut you down. The man who never fully recognized Harrison's genius until it was too late. Harrison's silence in his memoir, his coldness in later interviews, and the testimony of those who knew him all point to the same conclusion. Behind the peace signs and Beatles nostalgia, George Harrison carried a grudge that never fully healed, especially when it came to John Lennon. He loved him, he resented him, and in the end, he never truly forgave him. That is the complicated truth behind the quiet Beatles' most hidden fury. What do you think about George Harrison and John Lennon's complicated relationship? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Did you like this video? Please click the thumbs up button and turn on notifications to get more. Also, don't forget to explore our other videos for more interesting stories and insights.